Welcome, friends. If you are listening to this, chances are you sit in a chair where the pressure is relentless. You are responsible for shareholder value, thousands of employees, and the strategic direction of your organization. We spend millions on market research, competitive intelligence, and risk mitigation software. We arm ourselves with data to avoid bad outcomes. But what if I told you that the single greatest threat to your company's future isn't a disruptive competitor? It isn't a supply chain collapse. It is not even a global recession. The single greatest threat to your leadership is internal. It is specific, predictable, neurochemical chain reaction that begins in your brain when things go wrong. And today we are looking at the ancient piece of leadership technology. It comes from the Bhagavad Gita, a 7,000-year-old text framed as dialogue on a battlefield. It's not about religion today, it's about the mechanics of mind under fire. In chapter 2, verse 63, Gita lays out the terrifying, accurate blueprint for executive failure. It describes a four-stage downward spiral triggered by a single emotion that leads to professional ruin. It teaches us that the emotional volatility isn't just a soft skill, it is a massive strategic liability. Let's look at the verse. It begins from anger comes delusion. The trigger is anger, and in Sanskrit it is also known as krodh. Now, when we talk about C-suite anger, we aren't necessarily talking about throwing chair or screaming in the boardroom, though that happens. Executive anger is often colder. It's cleaner. It is the seething resentment when a trusted lieutenant dropped the ball on a critical project. It is the immediate defense spike in blood pressure when an activist investor questions your competitiveness and your competence in the press. It is the reactive, blistering email that you type at 11:30 p.m. after seeing the Q3 numbers that misses the expectations. As a CEO, your identity is tied to success. When that success is threatened, the ego's primary defense mechanism is the anger. It feels powerful. It feels like fuel. It feels like you're taking charge. But Gita warns you, this isn't fuel. It is the match that lights the fuse of your own destruction. Because anger immediately triggers stage 1 of the spiral. And the verse further states, from anger comes the delusion. So in Sanskrit, this is known as samoha. What does that delusion looks like in the corner of the office? When you are gripped by anger, your world shrinks. Psychologists call this as cognitive tunneling. You lose peripheral vision, both literally and strategically. Delusion is when you stop seeing the situation as it is and start seeing it through the red lens of your grievance. Suddenly, the board member asks, asking through very tough questions, isn't doing their due diligence, etc. They are out to get you. The competitors who beat you to the market isn't just smarter; they are playing dirty. In this state of delusion, you are no longer responding to reality. You are reacting to a narrative your angry mind has invented. You become convinced that your immediate aggressive impulse is the only righteous course of action. Your mistake is your agitation for clarity. But delusion is just the waiting for the room for the next stage. The spiral accelerates and the verse continues. From delusion comes the loss of memory, which in Sanskrit known as smriti. This is perhaps the most fascinating part of this ancient wisdom for a modern business leader. What does it mean for a CEO to lose their memory in a crisis. We aren't talking about forgetting where you put your car keys. We are talking about forgetting who you are. Under the influence of delusional anger, a leader forgets their core values. You forget the long term strategy you spent 12 months developing with the board itself. You forgot the culture you promised to build. Think about the worst corporate scandals in recent history. How many times did you wonder, what were they thinking? How did the smart people do something so obviously stupid? They forget. In the heat of the moment, chasing quarterly earning or trying to bury a mistake out of anger or fear, they experienced corporate amnesia. They forget that integrity was their primary asset. When you are angry, you only remember the pain of the immediate moment. You sacrifice what you want most for what you want right now. You forget the why behind your leadership. And once you have forgotten your foundational principle, you enter the most dangerous phase of all. And the verse says, and it continues, from loss of memory comes the destruction of discrimination. So in Sanskrit, the destruction of buddhi, basically. Buddhi is, your intellect, your loss of memory, your brain. There is one word that describes, and that is buddhi. Buddhi is the intellect, but it means more than just IQ. It is the power of discriminant. It is the highest faculty of the human mind, the ability to distinguish right from wrong, truth from falsehood, the essential from the trivial, the short-term fix from the long-term solution. Listen carefully. The primary job function of a CEO is discrimination. Your job is to make high quality decisions under conditions of uncertainty. You are paid to discern. When anger has led to delusion and delusion has made you forget your values, your capacity for discrimination is utterly destroyed. Your buddhi has become offline. This is the precise moment when the catastrophic mistakes happens. This is when the CEO approves the fraudulent accounting practice to bridge the gap. This is when the CEO fires the whistleblower instead of fixing the problem. This is when the CEO sends the tweet that wipes billions of dollars off the market cap in 10 minutes. At this stage, you are steering the ship, but you are functioning blind. You think you are being decisive, but you are actually being completely delusionist. And finally, the inevitable conclusion of the verse is, from destruction of discrimination, one perishes, which in other words, ruin. In business context, this rarely means physical death, but it means professional death. It means the death of your reputation, the death of your legacy, and very often the death of the organization you lead. The Gita phrases this interestingly in some translation, and it says, one fall back into material consciousness. What that means for us is that you fall back to zero. You are no longer a leader. You are just another reactive organism fighting for survival in the dirt. You have lost the elevated perspective required to lead. The downward spiral is complete. Anger didn't fix the problem. Anger became the architect of much worse problem. Gita doesn't just diagnose the disease, it offers a cure. But that is a longer conversation for another time. For today, let this ancient verse serve us as a modern warning. Next time you feel that familiar surge of executive anger, the heat rising up the back of your neck in high stakes meeting, recognize it for what it is. It is not power. It is the first step on a very slippery staircase. If you can recognize the anger before it becomes delusion, you break the chain. Great leadership isn't about never getting angry. It's about having the self mastery so that your anger never gets into the driver's seat. Protect your memory, protect your power of discrimination, because your company needs your clarity for far more than it needs your rage. All right, friends. If you agree to this and if this resonate, please drop a message in the comment section below, and I will catch you again in the next one.